My name is Lakman. Okay, I'm representing my group. Okay, so for this interview, I won't be asking any personal question, but only about your language acquisition. Okay.
All right.
Okay. How about the first question? Can you describe how and then when you first encountered your language? Okay, specifically, were you simultaneously bilingual, learning them from birth, or through natural interaction, or even subsequential bilingual who learn a second language later on? Okay.
All right. Can I answer now?
Yes,
All
that's
right.
my question.
Okay. Well, to describe my language background, I am a classic example of a successive bilingual who later became a multilingual. Well, my first language is Basumlayu, and then I acquire it naturally and instinctively from birth through constant immersion and social interaction with my parents and family. Well, without any formal instruction law.
Mm.
My second language is English, which I acquired sequentially. Even though I started learning English slightly later, primarily through the school system and major exposure such as social media and video games, I have achieved a near native level of fluency because I acquire my first language was Mayo intuitively during early childhood. It relies heavily on natural instincts and automatic processing. On the other hand, my second language, which is English, along with my third language, Mandarin, and fourth language, Arabic, require more conscious cognitive effort, formal instruction, and analytical processing during the initial stages of acquisition. Well, it is fascinating. It is amazing because I can feel how my brain maps these languages, like Malay from my core foundation, while English has become equally dominant due to massive exposure over the time. And Mandarin and Arabic act as specialized linguistic tools that I acquire later in life.
Okay, that's quite the belt of language you have there. Quite fascinating. All right. Okay. Continue on since it's related to the second question. Okay. In which specific domain, such as at home, school, or even work, does each language, okay, all the four language, dominate for you? Okay. Over time, has your language dominate shifted maybe due to change in your environment? Okay, or you feel one language is more deeply rooted. Okay, deeply rooted for expressing complex idea or emotion.
Hmm. All right, right. So, to answer your question, well, my daily life perfectly illustrates what psycholinguists call the complementarity principle. We state that multilinguals acquire and use different languages for different purposes in different domain and with different people. So, my language dominance is highly context dependent. If I use Basumalayu dominates, I use Basmayu oftenly in my home, well, in my daily life, which I interact with my family, and mostly to express my emotion. Well, it is the language I use with my family to express any feeling or anything deeply rooted cultural concept like adat or budi basal, you may call it in Malay. So, for my second language, English, however, it is my dominant language in academic and professional domains. When I am processing complex or technical information or reading analytical text, my brain naturally default to English. I don't know why.
I mean, from the way you speak and from the way you articulate your words, it's clear that your English is the main complex or main complex language that you use. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, okay. For my third question, okay. Do you notice any difference in your fluency of vocabulary? Okay, across languages. Okay, all the four languages, such as certain word being maybe in a VIP lane where it is more important. Okay, where it is faster to retrieve it or in one language or maybe not the other. Okay. Also, additionally, do you find that your comprehension is significantly stronger than your creation in any of your languages?
Okay. So when it comes to retrieving the words, well, as someone who exposed to the multiple language, it is sometimes hard for me to retrieve the words from first language to another language in my own brain? Well, my first language words bahasa Melayu, are typically more accessibly and deeply integrated in my brain than my second, third, and fourth language. So for me, everyday words in both Malay and English sit in the VIP lane that you said before. Then they both are high-frequency words that I can retrieve instantly without any conscious translation, even though sometimes when I want to write my answer or any essays, I often you've heard something called blocking, which I can retrieve it, even though it's frequently used in my daily life.
Okay, well, I mean, I can sort of relate to that since while I don't have like multiple language. Okay, well, I'm not like as bilingual as you. I mean, I mostly speak in English and Malay, but I can relate. Okay, blocking the blocking part and the whole maybe dominant side of English more than Malay on the whole feeling. All right. Well, since since you can speak in four languages, which is like really pragmatic, okay, really usable, especially in this modern time. How do you use your world knowledge and background experience to read between the lines in your different languages? Since sometimes each language have this certain things called like what sarcasm, right? Okay, differently. Okay, do you find it easier to detect the nuances like tone, emotion, or even metaphors in your native language compared to your like second language, or third, or even fourth language?
Oh man, well, like you said, we're knowledge and background or anything cultural. Context, like they are absolutely essential for me to read the between the lines, especially when dealing with four or a completely different language. Well, in my Bahasa Melayu, first language, and my second language, English, my right brain effortlessly decode this non-verbal cues. If someone makes sarcastic remarks in English or use subtle cultural idioms in Malay, like peribahasa or maybe anything pragmati, my brain fills the gaps automatically using my background knowledge. Well, alright. However, in Arabic and Mandarin, yes, I'm multilingual. Detecting subtle humor or anything else pragmatically may take much more efforts because I do not share the same depth of cultural immersion in those languages. Like my brain has to rely strictly on the literacy, the intensical words, making it harder for me to grasp the impended social nuance or any implicit meanings, all right?
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, understandably, I mean, even in English itself, okay, there's the English side and then there's the American English. Okay, those two are different cultural. Okay, so different contexts need different nuances. Okay, I understand it. I understand it.
Mhm.
Okay, for my sixth question, okay, do you ever experience language interference or processing delay when your brain has to choose between competing words from different languages during the lexical selection, okay, of speech, or does this often lead to tip of the tongue moments, okay, where you know the concept but you cannot retrieve the sound in the target language? It's like okay, it's like the currently, okay. I know the concept, okay, I know the meaning, but I just can't bring it into words of what trying to convey it.
Hmm. Okay, okay. I think I get it. I think it. You were talking about any interference or retrieval. Okay. So, well, because I have four languages stored in my brain, I definitely experience cross-linguistic interference. When I want to speak, my mind goes through the language production and something like forming the idea, and then I need to select the words, and then I need to speak. During this stage, specifically in lexic selection, words from Lay, English, Mandarin, and Arabic sometimes compete for attention. Mm, because, okay, because English is so dominant in my daily life, especially in professional, it sometimes causes reverse interference. Like where an English word pops up when I'm trying to speak purely in Malay. This competition often leads to the tip of the tongue that, like you said right now. Mhm. Well, during this state, what they call the tip of the tongue, right? I know the is a concept I want to convey. I mean, like the semantic meaning is fully activated in my brain, but my brain temporarily failed to retrieve the precise one, the phonological sound in the target language. I mean, like, it is a very psycholinguistic phenomenon for me, especially when juggling multiple language networks.
Okay, so okay, from what understood from your response is that your English lexicon is a lot bigger than your other language, even your own native language, which is overlap, which is harder to speak in certain languages. Okay, so basically, give you some confusion during conversation, right?
Yeah, correct, correct.
Okay, for my last and final question, okay, how do you manage the cognitive, okay, your head, okay, your brain control required to flip a switch between your linguistic system? Okay, basically when you're trying to speak English and then when you're trying to speak Malay and then Bahasa Arab or Mandarin, okay, do you feel that the constant need to manage two or four language has improved your cognitive flexibility and have your ability to switch focus between different tasks. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to ask is, thus having more language improve your cognitive flexibility. Okay, so basically you can handle more cognitive input and output because you have more language.
Oh, this is very deep question for me. Well, managing four languages require an immense amount of cognitive control and executive functioning for Mila. Well, to train to speak fluently in English, my brain's cortex, I don't know, my brain's part, and actively inhibit and suppress Malay, Mandarin, and Arabic so they don't interfere my speech. Well, this constant mental workout, I second workout, of selecting the right language and inhibiting the other function, much like a traffic control system in my mind. Well, because of this lifelong practice, I genuinely feel that being multilingual has enhanced my overall cognitive flexibility, because I find it easier to filter out irrelevant distraction, multitask, or adapt to new rules quickly. Well, I don't I don't say it by myself because science backed this up, showing that the continuous need to manage language interference actually strengthen the brain executive control networks, and it also increased neural efficiency, which one of the greatest hidden benefit of mastering multiple languages. So maybe that's one of the reason why I was exposed to these languages, right?
Okay. Well, you are correct. You know, with how you're saying the analogy is basically your mind is like a very complex yet simple railroad system where trains can intercept but manage one at a time. Okay, so I get it. Also, the benefit is also I find fascinating because there's some research about the physical brain health correlated with actual language acquisition and amount of language you can speak. Okay, there's some research about that. Okay, I think that's all for today questioning. Okay, interview. Thank you for your time,
Yep.
and that's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for interviewing me.